Hey, what's going on, everyone? John Matrix here. Hope you're having a wonderful day wherever you are, whatever time it is you're watching this. It's been about a week since the Call of Duty beta ended, and I've been meaning to get this video up and a little busy this week, but I wanted to just kind of do an overview and review of my experience of the Call of Duty beta. And this is for the new Modern Warfare, obviously, and it's all, from my perspective, PC based. I've only played this on the PC. As far as FPS shooters go, I'm pretty much just a PC player as far as that goes, so none of this is for the console. I didn't play it on the console at all. So yeah, I'm just gonna get into it. So I'm gonna talk about what I liked about it, like general things of what I liked about it, what some general things I didn't like about it, and what I wouldn't mind seeing changed, and then talk about the game modes and what I liked about some of the new game modes and didn't like about it. And most of that's going to be about the ground war mode, since that's kind of like the new big mode. So anyway, yeah, we'll just get right into it. So first off, when I started playing, um, I actually did enjoy the game a lot more than I expected I would. However, the more I played the game, the more it really just felt like, another version of Call of Duty, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. The guns, the game looks beautiful. It runs great. I had everything on max settings and was not dipping under 144 FPS, which I have a 144 hertz monitor. So I was not having any problems with the game at all. There were some issues with disconnects, but I think that was more of an internet thing. I think after resetting my router, I was having no issues after that. But as far as the game itself goes, had no crashes, ran smooth, ran great, looked great. Um, the maps were pretty cool. They didn't have a ton of different maps. In the I think there was only like 4 maps for the majority of the game modes. That doesn't include the ground war mode or the 2v2 mode. Um, so there weren't a ton of maps to try out, but the ones that they had in there were good. I didn't really have complaints about that many of the maps at all. There's only really one I kind of didn't really like. There's a cave map that I wasn't sure I really cared about for most of the game modes that it was played for. But other than that, the maps were great. I enjoyed them. The guns felt good and crisp. Um, and they definitely feel like they have more weight to them. There's more recoil at first. There's more recoil, and it feels like you have a little bit more needing to control the recoil on it. Sniping felt great in the game. It seems like it's a little bit harder to quick scope in it because when you're using the default scope, there's only one sniper rifle available that you could try during the beta, and using the default scope on it, there's like a little half a second delay when you hit the button to scope in before it actually does scope in. So quick scoping could be a little bit of a challenge, which some people may or may not like. But sniping felt great for the most part. Sniping was a one shot to the chest, except at much longer ranges, which really only mattered again on the ground war mode. Most of the other maps were small enough to where sniping was basically just the one shot kill. Um, and I enjoyed the TTK of the game. My background for shooting mostly comes from Counter Strike, which is a very fast-paced, time-to-kill game. However, the real problem that I have with the TTK in Call of Duty versus what I'm used to in Counter Strike is the quick time to kill in Counter Strike really comes from headshots. The rewards from getting headshots. Killing people extremely quickly is because you're getting rewarded for getting those headshots, for aiming for those headshots. And really, in this Call of Duty, it's just a fast TTK just because. Headshots don't really seem to matter that much in this. Um, it's all just, hold down mouse one and spray and pray, and people die. That's kind of what the Call of Duty style of run and gun is, which again is not really necessarily a bad thing if that's what you like, or if you just want that style of gameplay, if you want that more run and gun style of gameplay. For me personally, when I play Call of Duty and those kind of games, I always like to, try to run around like in this one for the most part in the beta. I was running around with the Desert Eagle and just trying to one tap people in the head, or when I unlocked it, the Mark II lever action rifle and doing the same thing, just because I enjoy doing those kind of things. I enjoy using those, weapons that I guess you could say require a little more skill, a little more aim, or you got to actually aim for the headshots to get that reward. And just it's for me, it's more satisfying. So those are the kind of weapons that I like to use. But for the most part, what it really comes down to is using assault rifles and submachine guns, and it's still the same style of shooting that Call of Duty has, where it's just hold down mouse one and just spray and pray and aim at them. And whoever hit the first shot typically is the winner. Because of the fast TTK, it's kind of hard to really kind of maneuver around and avoid getting hit and be able to get the counterattack shot back. I guess I don't really know how to describe it, but it can happen, but it's not as prevalent as it was in some of the older COD games. And I guess I should also backtrack a little bit and say that for me personally, I'm not a super fan of Call of Duty. I really haven't got into a Call of Duty game since World at War. That was probably the last COD game that I played that I really enjoyed. But to be honest, since the first Modern Warfare game, COD's been on a downcline for me. I did get Blops 4 last year, but that was really just for the Battle Royale mode, and that's really the only mode I played. I might have played a handful of the normal game modes, but the Battle Royale was really the only reason I got Blops 4. Without a Battle Royale mode in this game, I don't know what its staying power is. That's kind of really the main issue for the PC side as far as it goes, is how long is this game going to last on the PC before it dies? Because typically speaking, Call of Duty on PC usually lasts a month, maybe two at the most, and then it seems like really the community kind of moves on. However, in this game, in the beta, because it's cross-platform with all the consoles, as long as there's people playing the game, it doesn't really matter what platform, you'll be able to get into lobbies and play. The only real issue potentially with that is obviously, what's the net code going to be like in the main game or down the line between consoles and PC. During the gameplay of the beta, it still had a lot of the same issues that typical COD games have, where, you look at the kill feed and you're 5 or 10 feet around the corner, but the kill feed says you died in a different spot, or, you're getting shot through things where you're not there, etc., etc. And so it's one of those issues where it's like, well, is this just, bad net code from the beta and they still are refining this? Is this because it's a crossplay issue between PC and consoles? Is this just the tick rate of the server? Do I have a bad connection? Was I, having a lag spike at that moment? And there's not really any kind of information displayed on the screen that's saying, hey, you're getting packet loss or connection issues or anything like that. And the ping time in the lobby on the PC side was incorrect. It was bugged for whatever issue. And I mean, it's a beta, so it still has those things to work out. So when it comes down to it, as long as you have, people playing the game, this game should have more staying power overall. You'll just be playing against console people. So, I mean, that is a plus side for the PC. Going back to weapons, as far as weapons go, there was enough of a difference, it seemed like, between the weapons to where you could tell, the weapons kind of had some unique feel to them. And there was certainly a ton of customization for each weapon. As you are using a weapon and you get experience with the weapon, you unlock more and more attachments and attachment slots for the weapon. I think at the end of the beta, I think the M4 was the assault rifle I used the most, and I don't remember how many attachments I had, but basically you had 5 slots that you could have, weapon mods onto, weapon attachments onto, and I had double, if not triple, the amount of mods that I could actually have on the gun. It was pretty ridiculous, but I mean, they have everything that can increase ADS speed, that can increase or decrease ADS speed depending on the attachment. It could increase or decrease vertical and horizontal recoil. They've got the laser scope for better increased hip fire. They've got rear grips. They've got vertical and horizontal grips, and they've got any kind of sight that you can have. They've got hybrid sights that go from a normal dot ADS to a 4x ACOG, all on one sight. They've got barrel attachments that can increase ADS speed or decrease ADS speed or increase bullet penetration or damage, et cetera, et cetera. If pimping out your gun is something you enjoy, they've got that. They got you covered in this Call of Duty. So definitely not an issue as far as being able to customize your weapon. So as far as in general goes in the game, it has definitely has its pluses and minuses. I think because of the cross-platform, I think this game's going to have a longer life on PC overall. Whether you're going to be playing against other PC players or not, as compared to console, time will tell. But you should always be able to get into a game regardless. The main issue is really just going to be, the net code and playing against console players. Is that going to be a big deal or not? And how is that going to affect the gameplay? Because it was definitely noticeable in the kill feed as far as it goes. And really, the gunplay in the game, there doesn't seem to be any real significant changes or jumps or evolutions in the gunplay in this Call of Duty. The gunplay still feels just like Call of Duty. It feels like the recoil of the weapons is kind of more of an illusion than anything else. Because when it comes down to it and you have enough attachments on the guns, all the fully automatic weapons really are just, they turn into laser beams, and it's just holding down mouse 1 and, making sure to keep your sight on the target. So if you like that style of gameplay, if you like that run and gun, fast-paced gameplay, it's still that Call of Duty gameplay that hasn't really changed much at all. So I guess that kind of covers it for the general issues. So let's I'm just going to talk about the game modes now. So I'm not going to really talk about the standard game modes they have in the game. They have the domination, team deathmatch, headquarters. Those are all in there. It's not going to really get into those. Those are still the same. They haven't made any changes with that. So if you played Call of Duty in the past, you know what those game modes are. So we're not going to really get into that. But each day of the beta, they had quick play, which was all the standard game modes, team deathmatch, domination, and headquarters. And then they had a 2v2 game mode. They had the ground war game mode. And then they had the cyber attack game mode. And each day, they would kind of rotate between those game modes. So I guess firstly, I'm going to just talk about the 2v2 game mode, which, to me, surprisingly, I really enjoyed, actually. I didn't think it was going to be a game mode that I cared that much about, but I could definitely see myself playing the 2v2 game mode on a regular basis. The 2v2 game mode is essentially, there's 2 teams with 2 players on it, and it's you queue up with a friend, or you can be put on a team with a random person, and basically it's a 2v2 gun game. They're small maps, and basically, yeah, you're just going around. You start off with a random loadout, whatever the game gives you, and you try to kill the other 2 people on the enemy team. If the time gets down to a certain amount, I think when there's 10 seconds left in the round, a flag capture becomes available, and you just got to take the flag. And I believe you have to take it back to your base, but I'm not positive. You might have to take it into the enemy base. I never actually had to really do that. And it's just a very fast, 2v2 gun game mode. and I could definitely see myself playing it on a regular basis. I could definitely see myself enjoying watching that being played on a professional level. I would love to see, some Twitch Rivals tournaments or just some in general esports, events, tournaments, etc. happen in a 2v2 mode. I think it'd be really fun to watch. So if you like those kind of fast-paced, competitive, modes, definitely 2v2 is one to check out. The next one that I really enjoyed and will probably be one that this would probably be my overall game mode, coming from a Counter-Strike background, is called Cyber Attack, which I'm not sure if they are going to have the normal search and destroy in this Call of Duty or not, but basically it's search and destroy or the normal Counter-Strike bomb defuse game mode, but with a small twist. So the game mode, you start off on whatever the map is. Each team has at their spawn area, they have got this cyber warfare device, and in the middle of the map, a bomb will spawn, and the spawn location of the bomb will change each round. And it's a neutral spot. Each team has to go and try to get the bomb and take that bomb to the enemy team's, spawning location where the cyber warfare device is, plant the bomb, and guard the bomb until it explodes. So that's one win condition. The other win condition is you just eliminate the team. However, the interesting twist of it is you can res your teammates when they go down in this game. And there doesn't seem to be a time limit for how long teammates can be down. At least there wasn't in the beta that I saw, before you can res them. So it really adds an interesting comeback mechanic to the game. There were definitely times in game sessions during the beta where I was the last one left alive, or someone else on my team was the last one left alive, and it was like a 1v4 or 1v3 or 1v5 situation, and the odds were stacked against us, and we were able to come back and win the game because we were able to res teammates and then, take the bomb from them or however the situation played out. But that little twist adds an interesting comeback mechanic to the game that I really enjoyed. So, Cyber Attack Warfare, whatever that game mode's called, I'm pretty sure it's just called Cyber Attack. That would probably be my most played game mode in this Call of Duty game. Something I really enjoyed. It's a nice little twist to it. So yeah, if you like the search and destroy mode, this is definitely one to look for. They had a night vision mode in the game, which I didn't really care for personally. It felt kind of more like a gimmick. It basically is night versions of the standard game modes: team deathmatch, headquarters domination, I believe, etc. I think I only played team deathmatch, but I'm pretty sure the other game modes are included. And yeah, it's just night versions of those game modes, and you have night vision goggles, and when you ADS, instead of actually aiming down the sight to ADS, you bring up a laser sight, night vision laser sight, and that's how you shoot the gun. That's really all the game mode is. It's you just running around with night vision, playing, the normal standard game. So to me, it kind of felt like a gimmick. Some people might find it more interesting, but there really wasn't anything new or tactical about it. It was just night vision. So nothing super spectacular about that. I think on the last day of the beta, they added something called the realism mode. I've had a few people talk about it. I wasn't able to actually do anything on Sunday, the last day of the beta. So I think I missed this game mode. But from what I understand, it's basically like a hardcore version of whatever game you're playing. The time to kill is increased even more. Everyone dies really quickly, etc., etc. So they're gonna have, a hardcore version of the game in there. So feel free to check that out at some point. But that's unfortunately one of the modes that I wasn't able to try out. And then lastly is the ground war mode, which this is the one that is probably going to get talked about the most, and is the one that, in my opinion, needs the most tweaks and balance changes. So, if you've played Battlefield, this is basically Call of Duty's, twist on Battlefield. It's a 32v32 game mode, so 64 players in the map, and The map that they had in the beta, I don't personally think was a great map for this game mode. It's a very kind of long, narrow map. There were definitely side paths that you could go around. One of them went up the hill of a mountain where there's not a lot of cover, but you have elevation. And then there was another kind of side hill path that had a little bit more cover, but it was narrower. It didn't really have, it was much more linear. So it was a little bit harder to traverse through. But in general, the map was just kind of this long, narrow map. And there were 5 capture points in the map. A through E were the capture points. A and E were the cap points that were near the team spawns. And then basically in the center of the map, in this one giant, warehouse structure, were the other 3 points. And basically it just turned into a game mode of everyone capping A and E, and then running into the center of the map and just kind of becoming this giant clusterfuck of spawn and die trying to cap these points. And they also had the map kind of structured so that any real approach to those cap points, there were just so many vantage points where people can look out and get, an angle on you and really kill you as you're trying to approach the vantage points. So it really kind of became this stalemate clusterfuck of, just spawn and die and try to run in and cap the points. So for me personally, the thing that I would have liked to have seen for this map at least was the cap points spread out a little bit more. So it wasn't just everything kind of really contained in this one central structure. They had some issues with the spawn points, which they're aware of and are addressing. You'd have enemy teammates that could be spawning right behind you, even though you capped the point. You have the point held, but for whatever reason, they're spawning on teammates, and they're getting pushed, right behind you for some reason. And they just had some really weird spawn issues. They had some spawn issues where people could spawn underneath the world and still run around and kill people and glitch stuff like that. So it was very, very strange, bugs, but it's beta. So beyond that, I didn't think the map was that great. The biggest problem, though, really was the kill streaks. And I know that's kind of like part of Call of Duty. Like, that's like the heart and soul of Call of Duty is the kill streaks. And a lot of people are saying that, it's not a Call of Duty game without kill streaks. And I can understand where you're coming from, but this kind of game mode really is not balanced for how the standard kill streaks work in Call of Duty. So it's almost like they need to have a different set of kill streaks for the ground war mode itself, because you get 3 kills and you got a UAV up, so there's literally constantly a UAV going on and your position is constantly being given away, so people always know where you're at. People, again, because of the map design as well and all these angles that people are able to sit and hold as you're trying to approach, and with the UAVs going all the time, it's just people constantly know where you're at. And, you can say, oh, well, there's counter UAVs, and people did use the counter UAVs, but it doesn't really seem to make a difference. People just know where you're coming from all the time with the minimap, which I think is part of why they wanted to get rid of the minimap in general, but they brought it back for this beta for whatever reason, to try it out. I don't know if it was just to try it out, if people are complaining, but yeah, it's just people know where you're at all times. So the thing with the kill streaks is, what do you do with that? In my opinion, if the choice was up to me, I would eliminate the kill streaks in that game mode altogether. However, it is a Call of Duty game, and I know that's a staple of it, so just do something simple where you need to like double or triple the kill streak count in order to get the reward. Instead of 3 kills to get a UAV, make it 6 kills or 9 kills. Make it something that's a little bit more difficult to get, just so it's not up all the time. I think that's a pretty simple compromise. Another interesting way that they could do it is, they could have some kind of stations at each cap point, and each cap point has some kind of reward, like a time-based reward, where if you hold that cap point for a certain amount of time, someone could go to this kind of kill streak reward station, and then they get to use it, whatever it happens to be. You know, you could call in, you know, a chopper gunner reinforcement. You could call in a tank reinforcement or a juggernaut reinforcement, and you get to have that for a certain amount of time, and then it resets. You know, so you could still have the kill streak reward, but you could tie it to a specific point that you need to cap and hold. And the longer you hold that point, you know, maybe different kill streaks can come up. So that could be another way to do it. You know, there's a lot of different ways in which you could kind of try things out and balance this out instead of having just the standard kill streak reward, which doesn't really work in this game mode. And then the tanks in general, the biggest problem with the tanks is that you could spawn off of them. So people would sit there and just kind of drive around and put it in a spot that's somewhat hidden, and then they just sit there and just keep capping the points. And so that to me is kind of a problem, really. Just I don't understand why they would just allow spawning as a mobile spawn point the tanks. It seems counterintuitive. So get rid of the mobile spawn points on the vehicles. And also, I would like to see if they're going to do kind of this battlefield mode. I would like to see more diversity in the vehicles. Like, they had 2 different types of APCs. One was a slower fire rate, but I think had more splash damage APC. And then they had another one that was more of a rapid fire, but I think did less splash damage APC. They had a couple of small scout transport choppers, and then ATVs, and that's really basically it. You know, I'd like to see some actual tanks in the game. You know, maybe an actual controllable attack helicopter in the game, some jets. You know, if you're gonna do a battlefield type mode, let's actually do a battlefield mode. And not just, you know, if that's the case, if you don't want to do those kind of vehicles, then I would just say get rid of vehicles in general, other than maybe some transport vehicles to get across the map. And let's just have, you know, a bigger map, 32v32 cap point mode, you know? So that kind of sums it up overall. What the issues are with the different game modes and the maps, and my gripes in the game mode, and what I think could be done to make it better. So overall, what's my opinion of this Call of Duty? Overall, I would have to say from my experience in the beta that it is probably one of the better Call of Duties that has come out in a long time, for sure. I would say that I would probably buy this game. However, the reason why I, at the current moment, am not going to buy this game is simply because of the practices that Activision is doing at the moment. So, for those of you that aren't aware, there is a type of game mode. It's honestly not even really a game mode that I care about. It's some kind of, you know, survival horde game mode. And this game mode is going to be exclusive to the PlayStation 4. Now, normally that wouldn't be a big problem, because normally, you know, exclusive on these game modes only last for a week or maybe a month. But this exclusivity is a year-long deal. So this game mode is only going to be available on the PlayStation 4 until October 25th of next year. If that is indeed an exact full year. Because October 25th is when this game releases. And you know, next year they're just going to put out another Call of Duty. So at that point, it's useless. We have an extra game mode that we're going to get when no one's going to play this game mode anymore, because everyone's going to be playing the new Call of Duty. So after the initial, you know, beta and me playing the game and enjoying it and having fun with it, I was more inclined to purchase the game. But after hearing about this, you know, game mode exclusive stuff, I'm honestly just probably not going to spend the money on it now, just because I don't like that kind of practice. And even though it's a game mode that I don't necessarily care about, you know, who's to say that they won't do something similar with DLC for this game in the future? Well, they'll say, hey, you know, this DLC pack is going to be exclusive to the PlayStation 4 for 3 months or 6 months or a year Or who's to say that next year when another Call of Duty comes out that, you know, they might have some content in there in a different game mode that I do like that will be exclusive for, you know, whatever console for a year. So, you know, essentially I'll be paying for something and getting less content than the people on the PlayStation will be. And, you know, it's a little bit nitpicky. I understand that. Some people, you know, might not think it's that big of a deal, but, you know, I'm voicing my opinion with my money. And so, me personally, I won't be purchasing this Call of Duty. I don't have any plans to at the moment unless, you know, that exclusivity changes, at which point, you know, I'll rethink it. But I do have to say that I feel like this Call of Duty would be worth it overall as a PC player. I think it's going to have a longer life to it with the crossplay. And I think with the game modes in there, it's good. I like the 2v2 game mode. I like the Cyber Warfare game mode, and I like the Ground War game mode. I think it'll be fun. You know, despite the fact that Ground War is a bit of a spawn and die, you know, if they fix some of the issues with it and rebalance some of the kill strings, I think it'd be a great addition to the game. And from what I understand, there's also still supposed to be a 50v50 game mode. You know, I don't know if that's 100% been confirmed or not, but from what I understand, there's still supposed to be 50v50 game mode, which, you know, I'd be interested to see as well, to see how that works in a Call of Duty. You know, with bigger maps and bigger teams. So, well, that's my opinion overall. I think it would be a good, worthwhile game. If you don't really care about the exclusivity stuff for the survival horde mode and you still want to buy it, I think it'd be a game that's worth it. But in my opinion, I'm not going to spend the $60 on it for that reason. So, yeah, but thanks for checking the video, guys. Thanks for sitting through it all. I know this is going to be a longer video with this overview here. And I hope you enjoyed it. And if you did, you know, feel free to leave a like. If you did enjoy it, feel free to leave a dislike. If you want to support me in the channel, feel free to subscribe. You can check me out on Twitter at JohnMatrix69. Stream over at Twitch at twitch.tv/JohnMatrix69. And yeah, thanks for checking out the video, guys. And I will see you all on the next one. I think the FAMAS is the fucking dumbest gun in the game.